guys, it's been a little while since we reported back to the investors, so where are we at?
Well, we are in the middle of operational works, so we lodged for civil operational works before Christmas. We lodged for landscape and electrical, also electrical before Christmas, and landscape probably about a month ago. We've received information requests from Council and Unity Water, which are all now responded to. The design took a little bit longer than we'd hoped, but in doing so, the information requests that we have received were very, very minimal, basically like less than 6 items per request, which is not normal. So to have those minimal requests from Council and from Unity Water is a very positive thing. So with those all responded to, we'd expect Council and Unity Water to decide those applications within about another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So yeah, we're getting very close to having all the approvals to be shovel ready.
Cool. And Leon, when do we expect to turn dirt?
Well, we're in the tender process now, so those went out in the last week or two, and look, we are depending upon the negotiations with the civil contractors. We could be ready to go if that timeline works with the civil contractor we choose. Within the next month or so. So that's that could the 2 key milestones of getting the operational works approval and then having the civil contractor lined up could basically falling into place. So the plan is towards the end of next month at this stage, and probably to elaborate on a couple of things Pete mentioned earlier, that we're sort of halfway through the operational works process. We are pretty close now. It's been 3 or 4 months, and a few months prior to that in preparation. So really, it's been sort of 6 months or so of work, and we're probably a few weeks away. And to add to the fact that we didn't get a whole lot of information questions, it's probably testament to the fact that the team that we've got on board has done an exceptional job of preparing the application, and generally the number of points being questioned in an information request is relevant to the quality of the application. So generally, the less the better. I mean, Council couldn't really pull it apart too much. And actually, also throughout that process, we did negotiate a few things in terms of sort of the outcomes on site, which we think will deliver a better outcome, a better product. So.
Cool. And so when you talk about tendering process, what does that involve?
So the engineers have basically put together a package which includes the full set of detailed design drawings and the bill of quantities for the construction of the estate, all the land development. That's what we're talking about here. And basically that goes in a package and it goes out to chosen civil contractors. We don't send it everywhere. There's basically parameters of civil contractors that have a good reputation, have the scope and the ability to take on a project this size, and I guess the experience and the proven track record of doing that, and generally have some sort of experience in working well with the consultants that we've got on board as well. So we want someone who's got the capacity to do it, willingness to do it, and price competitive. And we've sent it to five that meet that criteria, 5 different civil contractors. So 3 to 5 is normally the sort of range that I would send it out to. And I think we've covered this one pretty well. Quality contractors that are doing most of the big estates that you see around the coast, around the place.
And so Pete, when they come back, what's your role?
Basically, my role moving forward is to continue to manage the consultant team. Our civil engineer, electrical engineer, and landscape architect will manage the contracts for each of the 3 contractors. So we'll have a separate contract for civil, landscape, and for electrical and telecommunications. So my role essentially is to keep everyone on program, on track, and on budget.
Mm-hmm.
And Leon, your role is to pay all the bills.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So
with all the funding lined up,
yep.
Obviously that's going to be a lot easier. But just a little bit about the steps you have to go through to draw down those funds.
Well, there is a process each time, and at the moment we're doing monthly draws, and we generally, depending on what it is, at the moment we've been covering the costs, and then we get reimbursed at the end of the month through a progress claim, which actually Pete largely puts together and submits. But look, we're very grateful and fortunate that we've got a fairly simple funding or fairly simple fund. Simple's not the word, but it's private, equity lending, and because of that, it's a very straightforward. We're dealing with a decision maker who actually makes the decision on it and pulls the trigger and pays the bill. So we're not going through the usual hierarchy of different approvals, within the bank, for example. So that's been that's quite a blessing at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that'll continue to play out as helpful throughout the project.
So will that help us roll from stage 1 to stage 2, do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The funding facility is set up to enable us to do that, and ideally that'll be the way that we go.
So Pete, what would we have had to do if we didn't have this funding solution?
If we were going through a traditional debt funding solution, we would have had to have an initial QS report, which would have made us pull together a heap, and I'm talking a ton of information, probably taking me normally 2 weeks to pull all that information together. QS would do his initial report. Until that was complete and you had all your operational works approval and everything else, you couldn't draw a cent from the bank. On top of that, you would have to do monthly progress draws through a QS. Through our funding solution, we don't have to use a QS, which removes cost from the project and also just saves time in administration as well. Also because of how flexible our funding is, it makes our lives easier when we're doing progress claims. If the budget changes or things, do change as happens with projects, our funding's flexible enough that it can adjust accordingly. We don't have to deal with our contact in a bank here who then has to report to someone in Brisbane, who has to report to someone in Sydney. Just removes a whole lot of people from the process and makes it a lot quicker and simpler.
And of course, the question everyone wants to know is, are we still on track to make significant profit here, Leon? we haven't spent too much of a contingency yet, have we?
Well, we're within budget on every parameter at the moment.
Yep.
So, at this point in the game, the project's progressing. It's been a little bit delayed in time, but I mean that apart from that, we've actually got increased yield, and moving forward, I think we're at where we started. So
I think that the one positive with that delay, even though it took us a bit longer to lodge the operational works application, with getting that design right, technically we would be under construction now, which if we all look up and see what's happened today and over the last 2-3 weeks of rain, this is what we'll be experiencing on a very sloping site. So the delay from my point of view is actually not necessarily a negative. We would have potentially been dealing with a week or two or more of rain delays anyway. So moving closer into that autumn-winter period minimises the risk that we'll have those rain delays during the construction period. So that is one significant positive of being where we're at now in the project.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Hello, Michael Barr from Kengo Budrum, the marketing agent of Tulipwood. Just a market update for the investors. We're progressing well in terms of the marketing and the development. So we've issued a number of contracts, and since the last update, the marketing's in full swing. All the signs are erected on site. The brochures have been produced and are in a brochure box on site. We've got directional signage up. The internet marketing is going well. We're also promoting on Facebook and other social media platforms to bring in inquiry. We've dealt with pretty much every builder on the Sunshine Coast and offered the product to them. A number of put and call options have been issued as well. The builders are excited, and one key builder is looking at following us through the development, which is really exciting. We've spent a bit of time designing some plans in which we're going to look at marketing as packages. These plans are a mixture of duplexes and house and land package as well. And the idea behind that is to show the market what kind of product we can produce on the site, following the contours and fitting the land, as well as giving options to first home buyers and downsizers for house options that they may not have been able to find anywhere else, which we're pretty excited about. So we have had some delays in terms of marketing and council, but mainly the Christmas break was a slow period for sales, and but that's really seemed to have picked up now over the last couple of months, so we're quite excited about those progressions. So once soil turning starts, which we're hoping won't be too far away, we're expecting the market sentiment to increase. We've had a number of buyers reference non-action on the site, and we feel that once they start to see some work happen, their vision of the development will increase and hopefully get more excited and boost sales. So that will be a focus of our next marketing campaign once we set a date, and we're expecting that to have an increased activity on sales and also inquiry rate. Prior to the new marketing launch, which will be happening in a few weeks, we're looking at getting the whole site mowed and getting some new marketing photos. We've had a relatively small selection of photos to use, so we're expecting once the site's been cleaned up, we'll have a very good amount of photos to select from, which I think will again give people more of an idea as to how the site will look. The beautiful views and outlook in the forest will present quite well. So.